Though we have all traveled many uncertain roads, we have always recognized something wasn't right. We searched high and low, yet our paths had never intersected. Our desire to seek truth, then to speak true, has brought us all together. That thing of ours is rooted in truth, because truth is the only unshakable foundation. In the greatest book, it states in John 8:32, "For ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free."
Truth is a powerful force. It is the foundation on which all great achievements are built, and the bedrock of trust and respect in any relationship. When we are rooted in truth, we can be confident that our decisions and actions are grounded in reality rather than in speculation or wishful thinking.
The pursuit of truth is not always easy. It requires courage, perseverance, and a willingness to face uncomfortable facts. But in the end, the truth is always worth it. It allows us to make better decisions, to build stronger relationships, and to create a more just and equitable world.
From politics and world events to entertainment and pop culture, we've got you covered. We'll explore our history and the stories that matter to uncover the truth that lies at the heart of each one. With our fingers on the pulse of the news cycle, we'll provide the insights and analysis you need to stay informed and engaged. As we stay rooted in truth and let the truth guide us in all that we do, let us be willing to listen, to learn, and seek out the facts, even when they challenge our own assumption or belief.
Let us never forget that the pursuit of truth is not just an individual endeavor, but a collective one. Only by working together
With honesty and integrity,
can we build a better future for ourselves
And for generations to come.
This
is That Thing of Ours. How's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us today on this Monday, 27th of January, 2025. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Rumble, and Pill.net.
And if you haven't already, please take a minute and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on Rumble or YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're over on pill.net, take that red pill. If you're over on X, smash that heart. And if you're on Facebook, you're our family. We know you like to push buttons, so that you have 7. Go clickety click away.
Push the buttons, everybody. Helps us out tremendously. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. All of it does wonders for us, and we do truly appreciate it. So, let's see. We had a weekend.
We did.
There were things that happened that upset some people. There were some things that happened that made people very happy. Guess it all depends on which side you find yourself on in the reclaiming of the Republic.
Right?
Happy Independence Day. What are we at now?
7.
7. Woot woot.
Yep.
Yo, what's up, F Clan?
Got F Clint in the house. Look at this, 74 degrees.
I know.
You suck.
I tell you what, that cold spell over there is really rough.
I know.
Hey, Chachi.
Hey, Chachi. Miss Angie in the house.
Hey, Ange. What's going on? That's all everybody that's said something so far.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Don't be rolling.
And everybody else is just lurking and watching and listening. We appreciate all of y'all, too. Yep, make sure y'all are hitting that thumbs up. Thank you very much.
Really does help us tremendously with the algorithm.
Yeah, all of this, whatever computers need.
I know.
Do the things the computers want.
Yeah, you know how they are.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go ahead and get started.
All righty.
Can you read that, please?
President Trump goes there on LA fires. It looks like something hit it.
There's Mike.
Hey, Mike. What's going on,
First
man?
part of Mike Squared.
Yeah.
Let's listen.
All right.
I don't know if we've ever seen anything like it, frankly. They say the biggest in the history of California. I think, has anything bigger than that happened in the whole country ever? It looks like, I don't want to say what it looks like, but you know what I'm going to say. It looks like something hit it. And we won't talk about what hit it, but it is a bad, bad situation.
Thoughts?
Wonder what he could be talking about that possibly hit it.
I wonder.
That's really interesting.
That is interesting.
Well, it's wild over there in LA because
is.
even though there was a moratorium put on all that stuff, apparently price gouging is still occurring with rents and stuff. It's a soup sandwich over there in LA right now. They desperately need whatever President Trump can bring them because they need some help out there. But the
They
good thing
do.
is the weather doesn't suck in Cali, so I mean it makes it a little bit easier. Definitely got to get Appalachia taken care of first.
Yes. There you go.
There you
Space.
go, Chachi. Space lasers. I need a space laser sound.
You do. That's not it.
That's all we got,
Okay.
I think. Hold on. No.
No, you don't
I got
have
an LA
anything.
sound. But other than that,
Are you ready?
yes.
Can you read that, please?
Colombia agrees to all of Trump's deportation terms to avoid tariffs, but sanctions are still in effect.
Let's listen.
All right.
Colombia agrees to all of President Trump's deportation terms to avoid tariffs, but sanctions and certain other punishments are still going to go into effect. This is, of course, just a little jab, a little love tap to remind them that they are not the ones calling the shots. Not when it comes to situations that involve the United States of America. President Trump is going to punish them ever so slightly, but at the very least, things are going to continue forward. Their Marxist president decided to play Mr. Tough Guy and deny U.S. military flights that contain their citizens. It's like, hey, don't give us back our citizens, yeah, because you already took them in. Joe Biden took them in, so they're your problem now. Stop sending them to us. Well, President Trump replied with extraordinarily harsh sanctions. And then the president of Colombia decided to come out and say, oh, we're going to go send my plane to pick them up. That's supposed to be some sort of combination of still being Mr. Tough Guy, but by establishing, look, we will control this. And then, of course, whatever happened on the back end, whatever negotiations were held to alleviate the tariffs, they being Colombia, decided, we better just cut our losses and accept it. Here's a press release from Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt. I bet you she didn't realize when she took this job that she would be seeing so much action in the first week. According to the press release, the government of Colombia has agreed to all of President Trump's terms, including unrestricted acceptance of all illegal aliens from Colombia returned from the United States, including on U.S. military aircraft, without limitations or delay. Based on this agreement, the fully drafted IEEPA tariffs and sanctions will be held in reserve and not signed unless Colombia fails to honor this agreement. The visa sanctions issued by the State Department and enhanced inspections from Customs and Border Protection will remain in effect until the first plane load of Colombian deportees is successfully returned. Today's events make clear to the world that America is respected again. President Trump will continue to fiercely protect our nation's sovereignty, and he expects all other nations of the world to fully cooperate in accepting the deportation of their citizens illegally present in the United States. Look, currently this is our problem, right? But they have to, I don't care if they help, they just can't stop us from solving our problem with their citizens. Okay, Colombia, I don't know what they were thinking. None of this makes sense. I don't know if this was a test. Somebody had to poke the bear to see if the bear's going to bite back. Well, guess what? The bear bit back. And now they're going to get a little minor punishment. But it's funny because the left, they really went after it hard. I don't think they expected the Colombian president to back down so fast, because they were going to ride the wave of, AOC had this super viral tweet. It had like 80,000 or so likes on it saying, these tariffs are attacks on Americans, and now your coffee prices are going to go up. And this is just something about how this is just helping Trump's billionaire friends. It's like, what? No, we just want Colombia to accept their citizens, to take them back because they're here illegally, and the ones that we're sending back, at least initially, are violent and breaking the law. This is their problem. Right now, it's our problem. We're making it their problem because they did not stop it from becoming our problem. This is not about, Trump's billionaire friends are wanting coffee tariffs. I mean, sorry, AOC. I'm not one of those guys that just jumps on the whole AOC is stupid bandwagon. Okay. But in this case, I mean, there's no other conclusion. She's just stupid. And she's not alone, to be fair. Many leftist journalists and pundits and talking heads, and of course, politicians themselves, like AOC, like Pocahontas Warren, like they were all, oh, tariffs are. Don't forget, Democrats loved tariffs before. Okay. Chuck Schumer in particular was pushing for tariffs way back in the Obama days. I think even in the Bush days. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, tariffs are a tax. It's like, isn't that what the conservatives were saying for a long time? Many of them still say. Yeah, in this case, using tariffs as a negotiation tool, it reversed a very bad policy put forth by Colombia. It reversed that policy in a matter of hours. So don't tell me that tariffs can't be used as a tool. Not a single tariff was signed. And yet, not a single Colombian coffee beans price rose as a result of the tariffs that were not signed. But guess what? Very dangerous Colombian illegal aliens, criminals, are being sent back as a result of even the threat of tariffs. So don't tell me, oh, America is a worse place because there was a chance that coffee prices might have gone up for a short period of time. No, America is far safer under Donald Trump than it ever was under Joe Biden or Democrat rule. If you like these
Thoughts?
All right. So pretty clear that already started winning. Good job, President Trump. All right. So it's these are the kinds of things we expect. We expected a lot of games, or at least I did. I'm sure all y'all did too. We knew that they weren't going to want to take their people back, and President Trump wasn't going to
Well, of
expect
course they don't
that.
want them back. They're from
But
the insane asylums. They're criminals. Of course they don't want them back.
It's a cost that they have to take care of themselves that they didn't really want to take care of, but
Yeah.
they need to have probably a better justice system to be able to handle these kinds of problems that they've got going on over there. I know that the people on the left are very worried about the tariffs and everything. Everybody's worried about, the cost of everything going up, but that's not going to be the case. It is a political tool. These are the kinds of things that the Democrats should have been using this entire time. Not just the Democrats, the Republicans too. All of the swamp donkeys out there, right? All the swamp donkeys knew that this was the right way to go about doing business internationally as a nation, integrating with the international community when it comes to trade and all that other stuff. They chose not to do it. President Trump is just doing the basics to say, hey, look, we buy a lot of coffee, and your coffee's okay-ish. It's not the best. It's not the worst. We got Kona, but there's only so much of that to go around. But the Colombian coffee, it seems to work. So why don't you take your people back that belong to you, and then we can all be happy? It's really a simple negotiation. And 3 hours isn't that long for the president to make a decision in terms of whether or not he wants to play along with President Trump, and then turn around and decide that, hey, you know what? I'm going to send our own plane to go pick up our people that we seem to have lost over in your country.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense. It's the way it should go. So this is some winning. This is great stuff, and we'll continue to see more of it. Chachi says, I'd quit coffee and switch to Diet Coke to get these illegals out of here. I mean, I would hate. There would be a lot of pissed off Americans if they didn't have the damn coffee because Colombia didn't want to take her, or any of the countries didn't want to take their people back. They're your problem. They're not our problem. And if we deal with your problem, you're not going to like the way we deal with your problem.
Right.
Mike says that would be rough, but I agree, Chachi. Yeah, I had to, get Somalian coffee or I don't know, Ethiopian. Switch to sweet tea to get rid of them. I mean, if that's what we got to do, we got to do. That's what we got to do.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike. There's the other half of Mike Squared. What's going on, man?
Yep. And there's Miss Carol.
Hey, Carol. All right. Have Colombian coffee ain't even that great. Mike says, now sweet tea I'm down with. Grew up on that stuff. Yes, sweet tea is
Exactly.
good. Yes, sweet tea is amazing.
I'll
Is there
do what
any
I
other
gotta
kind of
do.
tea?
I know.
Just simple questions.
I know.
I mean, Colombian coffee ain't bad.
It's not bad, but
It's
it
not-
really, I mean, Kona's much better.
I mean, I love our Kona blend.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure it has Colombian in it, but that's fine. You know, whatever.
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
Maybe. Greg Gutfeld says President Donald Trump has flooded the zone.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Just stepping back, I just feel like, are there any politicians or political parties left? Like, I feel as though Trump has flooded the zone. He's disappeared Democrats from the game board, but also any kind of like never Trumpy Republican. Do they still exist? I don't think there's been any Republican president that's had a week like this. I don't remember it. The party has never been this effective or successful in my lifetime. I mean, maybe over time it happens, but you can't have a better week than this. And a lot of this stuff that he's doing, you know, in the executive orders, but also here, is a layup, because the solutions were always there. It's just that the Dems refused to accept them. It was a failure not just of common sense, but also a failure of will. No one is having any issue with what Trump is doing. They just didn't know it wasn't being done. They didn't know what they were missing, including in disasters. This is a contrast between an actual president and a cardboard prop. You know, Trump is aware of what's going on the ground. He actually listens to people. And if you tell him something, he's going to do something about it. For some reason, he's engaged, whether it's in crime, he'll talk to victims. With immigration, he'll talk to border agents. He talks to people in AI. He seems to get a grasp of almost every issue by talking to the people involved. But if you were in a disaster or a catastrophe, if you were a victim and you went on any network and you were pleading, it would never get to Biden. Either he couldn't hear it or he wouldn't do anything about it. And when you watch Trump act, signing all these executive orders and attacking every problem, you don't just see his effectiveness, you realize what was missing: a leader. We had 4 years without a leader, and now we're acting like, wow, this feels pretty good. It's like having suddenly you're like, oh, now I know what this is like. This is how it works. Pretty good.
Thoughts?
This is the low-hanging fruit, is really what President Trump is dealing with right now. And he's using this opportunity to say, you know, why do we have these, you know, agencies if they aren't going to be utilized by the powers that be? It is just another way to show, another boondoggle to show eventually, once Doge and everybody gets a hold of all the books and everything, oh, look, they've been funneling billions of dollars out of this to various personal kind of favor kind of deals for our elected class of people here in this nation. But this, by actually utilizing those funds in the manner in which they were supposed to be used for, will mean that the people who were using the government as their personal pocketbook won't have those funds available to them anymore. And that's going to make it hurt for the swamp people so much more than it has. They will continue to lose the funding. And if they don't have the funding, they're done. It's just a matter of time. Mike says, it has been great seeing a real president running this country again. Loved the way he schooled the lefties in LA. Well, he did too, didn't he? I mean, he's gonna make it hurt, and it should be painful for everybody on the left who's been abusing their authority. Definitely love the fact that he made North Carolina first. Yeah, North Carolina definitely needs it.
Yes.
And then Hope says, I buy coffee from Garner's Natural Life. Neither one come from Colombia, thankfully. Well, there you go. That seems to work out.
Yeah. You ready?
Non-paid shout out there. Have to try
Exactly.
them out. Garner's Natural Life. All right.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yes.
Can you read that, please?
Aging warmonger lesbian Lindsey Graham says Trump pardoning J6 political prisoners was a mistake. Of course you believe
I don't
that.
believe anyone asked you, ass hat.
Anyways.
But let's.
All right, let's listen.
pretty soon.
We will watch it very closely.
Yeah.
Let's turn now to President Trump's decision to pardon, to give blanket pardons to everyone who was convicted of crimes on January 6th, including the 172 people who pleaded guilty to assaulting law enforcement officers. Even his own vice president said, quote, if you committed violence on that day, obviously you shouldn't be pardoned. Do you believe that President Trump was wrong to issue these blanket pardons to the January 6th?
Number one,
defendants?
he had the legal authority to do it, but I fear that you'll get more violence. Pardoning the people who went into the Capitol and beat up a police officer violently, I think was a mistake because it seems to suggest that's an okay thing to do. Kamala Harris wanted to raise bail money for people burning down Minneapolis. You know, Biden pardoned half his family going out the door. I think most Americans, if this continues to see this as an abuse of the pardon power, that we'll revisit the pardon power of the president if this continues.
Abuse of the pardon power?
Pardoning violent people who beat up cops, I think that's a mistake.
As opposed to the
So you
murderers
think
Biden
it was a
released?
mistake by President Trump to issue these blanket pardons? What
First of all, nobody beat up a police officer. He's such a freaking liar. Anyway, thoughts?
Well, his fat mouth obviously wasn't able to communicate the truth. Not a surprise. Didn't say anything at all about the people that Biden pardoned, you know, in terms of the violent murderers and whatnot that Biden released. But somehow these people that broke a window or two at the Capitol building, you know, those are somehow worse than the people Biden released. And then to say that he's abusing the pardon power after Biden did all those preemptive pardons for people that supposedly never did anything. Come on, sell bullshit somewhere else. We're all filled up here. That's why we're getting rid of all of your kind. You know, Graham, look, bro, there's nothing. Just give it up. As a matter of fact, we don't like you. Go find, I'm sure you have dual citizenship. Go to one of those places. Go somewhere else because you're not, you know, anything that cares about the people of the United States. Hope says that doesn't sound like him now, does it? Well, yeah, there's a lot of a lot of that going on. Mike says, how are they blanket pardons? Seemed to me they were pretty specific. They were pretty specific as far as I could tell. But these are not the most violent of the most violent. If nothing else, a lot of these people got bamboozled and wrapped up in the moment by the feds who were creating a scenario that was never going to happen if it wasn't for the entrapment that was instituted by, you know, the feds themselves. Chachi says he gonna look like the fool when the real truth gets around. Boy, ain't that the truth? Yeah, you gonna look like a fool. Lizy Graham.
That's good, Angie. That's really good.
He is gonna look like a fool. I mean, to the people that think that he's okay. I don't know how many more of the rhinos, you know, are out there, the never Trumpers from the right, because those are going to be the people that listen to Lindsey Graham. So I don't know. I don't know.
What an idiot.
How long is it going to take for the rest of the people to start waking up?
I don't know. But
Wow.
he sure did just flat out lie.
Yeah. Well, he's got to keep his narrative.
Yeah. Are you ready? Let's listen.
Gonna go down with the ship.
God's timing is perfect, and you are right where you need to be. Sometimes we may feel impatient or uncertain about our current circumstances, wondering why things aren't happening according to our plans. But God sees the bigger picture. In His infinite wisdom, God orchestrates every detail of our lives. He knows the right time for things to unfold, and He works all things together for our good, even when we can't see it. He is at work behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, opening doors, and preparing us for what lies ahead. When we trust in God's timing, we can find peace and contentment in the present moment. We can rest assured that He has a purpose and a plan for our lives. As we seek His guidance and surrender to His will, He will lead us on the right path and guide our steps. Remember, God's timing is not our timing, and His ways are higher than our ways.
Thoughts?
All right, recurring theme. Nothing ever happens in our time. Surprise, surprise. Doesn't happen the way we would like it to happen, but we always have that value add of hindsight is always 2020. And we learn these lessons throughout life, which should advise us as we move forward. We see that things didn't work out the way we wanted them to back then because it would have been an absolute nightmare or disaster for us. And so, we wait, or things didn't happen, or things took forever to happen, but we see the benefit of that. So as we get hampered in our efforts to try to do things in this life, we should give ourselves that grace and patience to understand not everything is exactly how we want it, but everything happens exactly when it's supposed to happen because it is in our best interest or the best interest of everybody else around us. So yeah, have some patience as we deal with life.
Absolutely. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that, please?
Chicago resident absolutely annihilates Mayor Brandon Johnson and his makeup.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. You spent over $574 million on illegal immigrants here in Chicago, Illinois since 2022. Now, you still feel like you have to harbor these illegals, which is not a good idea. And in my personal opinion, I don't think it's a good idea to challenge Tom Homan on this because he's trying to clean up our cities, Mr. Brandon Johnson. Now, let me just remind everybody here that Brandon Johnson is terrible with the budget. How is this $40 million credit line is going to work exactly? Because the key word is credit. So how much will we be using from this $40 million? And the real question is, how much will we be paying back? Now, you want to sit here, you and JB Pritzker want to puff out your chest and fight Tom Homan. We need Tom Homan here in Chicago. We need Donald Trump. And I don't want to see people like Pam Bundy and Cash Patel, haul you up out of here and become prosecuted. I don't want to see that happen. But they will do their job if they have to, Brandon Johnson. Now, we are $1 billion in debt. That's absolutely insane. Kamala Harris, she spent $1 billion on her campaign less than a year, and she's $20 million in debt. So it's looking like Democrats are bad with money. Now, you ignored me for 10 to 15 seconds last time I was speaking, and I really did not appreciate that at all. But I got a Christmas present for you. Let's remind the people of Chicago that Brandon Johnson spent $32,000 in campaign funds on haircuts and makeup. So I got an early Christmas present for you, Brandon Johnson. This is some makeup for you right here. You got some rouge. You got the makeup brush right there. So you can save this people some money, for crying out loud. Now, let me tell you people, I'm going to be serious here. We need to start voting different in these cities like New York and Chicago. Stop voting these people in. It's not Democrat versus Republican anymore. It is populist versus establishment. It is the populist versus the establishment. Stop letting them trick you into the race baiting when it comes to Brandon Johnson. Oh, black people need help too. Trump want to hurt black people. What are you talking about? We're legal here. We are legal.
Thoughts?
So, dude just straight up put it all out there. That was awesome. And the fact he took petty to an amazing level. Oh, you want to ignore me when I'm talking? That's all right. I got you some makeup. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. And he also said, he put some real good shots out there. We don't want to see you get hauled away and, because, you're going to jail or whatever. And then where was it? Let's see. You see him and 3 other mayors are to appear before Congress on February 11th. Yeah, the bill is coming due. The bill is coming due. Right now, they have no choice, but they have to sit here and listen to it until they finally get carted away for the crimes against the people that have been committed this entire time. How a city, i.e. Chicago, and it's a big city, I understand that. That's a big deal. There's a lot of people there, but to get $1 billion in debt, that means they spent all the cash that they have and they still borrowed $1 billion and they're not following through. The $40 million that they not even really clear about how they're going to pay for it. all this interest? How much are we going to have to pay on all these loans you keep getting? No, there ain't no more loans. We need to seize your house, your cars, your everything. Everybody who's an elected official, excuse me, everybody who's an elected official that has benefited from all of this stuff, you get everything seized like the criminals that you are, and it gets sold, and then we can use that to help recover some of the costs, because we know you clowns have been stealing money from the people, and that's just the city of Chicago. How many other cities there's something very similar going on? I look forward to the day of reckoning that's coming, because I know it's coming, and President Trump ain't going to let it slide because, well, after all, look at everything they did to him over just the past 4 years alone. It raided his house, raided his wife's panty drawer, took her dresses. I mean, all of these things. That was just one incident. They tried to take him out twice. All of these things are going to add up, and it's all going to, the house of cards is going to come tumbling down. Mike says it's the haves versus the have-nots. Also, Brandon Johnson got his SUVs repoed for unpaid tickets. He's broke. Yeah, well, it happens. It happens.
Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, Angie.
All right, you ready?
Oh, yep.
Can you read that, please?
Yes. JD Vance knocks fake newser Margaret Brennan's tired nation of immigrants got you out of the park.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded by
country.
This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world.
Stupid face.
Thoughts?
Why would we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the entire world? See, the thing is even most of the people on the left don't want illegal immigrants. I can tell you that there's many, many Hispanics that don't want illegal immigration at all. They don't believe in it. They don't think it's right. They understand. So this narrative that they keep trying to push on the main, the legacy media, it's like an echo chamber where they only hear themselves and they think everything they say is the most brilliant thing on the planet. But just because they have the positional authority of being on the television, somehow, they think that people are still going to believe them, even though all of their numbers say that nobody really listens to them anymore, except for brainwashed out of all of us. They're the only people who still watch that shit. It's absolutely awful. But he really kind of smacked her down with her little stupid, attempt to say that, oh, we have to let all these people in. We don't have to let anybody in. As a matter of fact, we can shut down immigration altogether if the people choose to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what it's about. But we certainly, shouldn't have to just take every murderer and rapist that's out there. That's just beyond stupidity. It's suicidal. And we don't need that here. Chacha says most Hispanics are not leftists. And that's the truth too.
And they don't, and the left doesn't like that, the party of unity. They want to control them.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's a big tent with a lot of clowns.
Yes, very much so.
That's about it.
Yeah, exactly. You ready?
Yep.
Can you read that, please?
Vice President JD Vance thoroughly crushes CBS and Margaret Brennan over unvetted asylum seekers.
Let's listen.
All right.
When you talked to us in August, you said, I don't think we should abandon anybody who's been properly vetted and helped us. Do you stand by that?
Well, Margaret, I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember. So clearly not all of these foreign nationals
but there are
have been properly
30,000
vetted.
people in the pipeline, Afghan refugees.
But my primary concern as the vice president, Margaret, is to look after the American people. And now that we know that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people are vetted.
Good.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted. And many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted. And because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country. And I think most Americans agree with me.
We'll be back in 1 minute with more of our interview with Vice President Vance.
Thoughts?
You know who else was properly vetted? Ilhan Omar.
We're going to talk about her next.
Oh, are we?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well.
We are.
Well, then let's just roll right into that one because it's perfect. Because she was properly vetted. And now she's a congresswoman. And yeah, supposedly she, is an American who is properly vetted.
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
More proof radical, America-hating, brother-loving Ilhan Omar needs to be deported.
Let's listen.
Yes.
Anigu waan ahay gabar Mareykanka laga doortay oo Congress-ka Mareykanka
US
ku jirto.
Congress.
Laakiin waxaan ahay gabar
But I am
Soomaaliyeed,
a Somali.
gabar idinku jinsi ah, gabar idinku af ah, gabar idinku diin ah. Oo
With your
religion.
hadde qof iyadoo da'yar
There was a young child taken from
wadankeedii
her
laga
country.
kaxeeyey weli xiise u qabto in maalin
This is her
wadankeedii
country
ay ku
and wishes to live
noolaato.
there. Oh, well,
So
fucking
I was just
head
in
on.
Washington, D.C., and my driver, the Uber, I ordered an Uber, and the guy was obviously not from America originally, had an accent. So I asked the guy, where are you from? He goes, Mauritania. As I was saying, I've been to 130 countries, 20 African countries. So I knew where Mauritania was. He assumed that I didn't, because most people don't know where Mauritania is, and most people never heard of it. And Mauritania is a Muslim country. It is right below Morocco. And I asked the guy, how long you been in America? He said 5 years. So I asked him, do you miss Mauritania? He said, yes, I have. Much of my family is still there, although his wife and children are here with him in America. So then I said, so how do you like America? And I said it in this neutral way. He could not know I was prompting him for something positive. In fact, the way I put it, I could have easily been prompting, how do you like America? Could have been prompting for a negative. So it was in the middle. And I wish but obviously I wasn't going to do it, but I wish I could have recorded him. And he said, I love America. And I said, why is that? He said, it's unique. And he told me he had lived in a number of European countries, and he named them. And at least 5 different countries. He'd been obviously moving around a lot. And he said, in America, you say good day and or good morning. People say good morning. They don't care how you look. In America, they don't care how you look, which is exactly right. When I said on an American television show, the Bill Maher show, a few weeks ago, I said, America is the least racist, multi-ethnic, multiracial country in the world. The audience of about 400 people basically laughed at me, which, by the way, has no effect on me. I don't care if 400 people laugh at me. I only care if I tell the truth. And they thought the idea is absurd. America's not racist. No, America's not racist. There are racists in America, but America's not racist. So he was so right. He hit it on the head. And he was so grateful to be here, just so grateful. And I was thinking, oh God, if I could take this guy to every school in America, just to say, why aren't you grateful to be here? And that's the issue, gratitude. You can't be happy if you're not grateful, and you can't be good if you're not grateful. Ungrateful people are not happy, and they are not good.
All right.
Thoughts?
So obviously she has no desire to be here. Go away. Happy to help.
We're not asking you to stay.
What's keeping you here? Did you need help packing? Did you what is it that you need? Take your ass, go on. We don't want you here. If you don't want to, if you don't like it, whatever. Just move on.
Yeah.
But you came here.
Felicia.
Yeah, she came here specifically to destroy America because she was buddies with Barry. You know, she promoted the narrative that Barry wants, Obama, right? And that's not beneficial for our nation. That's all going to be found out. It's all going to come out, because I don't see how this group of lies that they've used to do all of the things that they've done for so long, how it can possibly stand. I'm assuming the JFK, RFK, and
I haven't seen anything about
MLK.
that.
Okay, yeah. I know that the only thing I've seen is that there's people delaying that information. But once that information comes out, I'm sure not only is it going to tie to George Bush Sr., probably LBJ specifically, and then who knows where it goes from there. That's just my guess at this point in time. I'm sure pretty much everybody else is on the same sheet of music. None of that would be a surprise to anybody. Let's see. On top of that, what Mr. Prager was talking about there is exactly what I've ever observed from immigrants who desire to come to this nation. They say it's not a racist nation, that it's a nation that has racists in it, but as a whole, no, it's actually better here in the United States than it is anywhere else. America is a unique nation. And we have, you know, by the very nature of what it is, the nation of immigrants, you know, real immigration, the way it was designed and set up, we have no choice but to try to get along with each other. Yeah, people are going to hold on to the fact that, you know, they're better than other groups of people, but that's on all sides. It's every race has its own group of races that think that they're better than everybody else. The color doesn't matter. That's just idiots who can't get past about how much of losers they are. That's why they can't get anywhere, so they have to blame it on everybody else. That's why they'll never get out of the mess that they're in. Whereas the people who come here recognize the opportunity, recognize the simplicity of the system, and that we are supposed to be truly created equals. So therefore we have equal opportunities, which we haven't had for quite some time now. But since we are supposed to have equal opportunities, you truly can pull yourself up by your bootstraps if it was working properly. We got to get there. But the thing is there's still enough of that spirit. There's still enough of what makes America America for people to see it. And what's sad is even as bad as we see it, this nation, in terms of the equal opportunity concept, it tells you how bad it really is in other places. Oh, by the way, Mauritania is on the west coast of Africa. That's where the eye of the Sahara, or the Rikat structure, is, which really lines up a lot with everything that says that it's Atlantis. So there's that. Hey, Sheriff Hector, thanks for joining.
Yep. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
How about some Craig?
All right. Craig Groeschel's great. I
Let's
love this
listen.
guy.
If we sat down and had a conversation, I might kind of just ask you, you know, where do you stand with God? And you might say something like, well, I don't know. Maybe I've been too bad for God. That's a lie. God doesn't love me. That's a lie. God is far from me. That's a lie. God could never love someone like me. That's a lie. I could never be forgiven by God. That's a lie. Let me tell you the truth. The truth is this, that God loves you. That's the truth. He loves you so much that he sent his son Jesus for you. That's the truth. Jesus was without sin. That's the truth. If you feel bad about yourself and feel like I've done wrong, that's the truth. We all have. Every single one of us. We've all fallen short of God's standards. We've all sinned. That's the truth. And you feel like I can't be good enough for God. Again, that's the truth. And the truth is that only Jesus did for you what could satisfy God's standards. Jesus was perfect, the Lamb of God, the sinless one, the perfect sacrifice who died in our place. That's how much God loves you. Jesus died and God raised him from the dead, defeating death, hell, and the grave. And now, in a moment of truth, when you cry out to him, I need you, I need your forgiveness. When you cry out to God, he hears your prayers and he forgives your sins. The truth is, if you confess your sins to God, he is faithful and just to forgive you of all of your sins, that's the truth, and cleanse you from all unrighteousness. He'll separate your sins as far from you as the east is from the west. That's how good he is, no matter where you are, no matter what you've done. Those of you that say, I need that. I want his truth. I want his forgiveness. Today, we're just stepping away from our old life. We're stepping away from our ways. We're stepping away from our sins, and we're surrendering to the lordship of Christ. Jesus, I believe you're the Son of God. Take my life. As you cry out to him, he hears your prayers. He forgives your sins. He makes you new. The devil is a liar. The devil tells you don't. Jesus is the truth. He says, come now, come as you are, come to me. I will save you. I will heal you. I'll change you wherever you're watching from. Those who say, yes, Jesus, I trust you. I give you my life. I surrender. Jesus, I give you my life. It's your prayer. Lift your hands high now. All over the place, lift them up. Come on, church, let's celebrate God as we see people today and all of our churches coming to faith.
Thoughts?
That's great. So Kay and I are doing a thing with Craig Groeschel right now on the YouVersion app, and it sort of kind of gets about this, and there was actually another message that I heard today too, and that was it's about spending that time with Jesus. However it is you do that, but you don't instantly become a follower of Christ. It is a practice. It's something we have to do, and then as we do this practice, we realize that we're not perfect, that there's only one perfect person ever created, and we couldn't stand that, so we decided to put him on a cross, apparently, right? And so how do we get to that point where we feel like we're connected to Christ? It's through practice. And that's when we realize that our sins are forgiven, that God does love us, that he does want the best for us, that there is nothing that we can truly do to be perfect, but we can strive every single day by spending time with the word. Therefore, the more time we spend with him, the more he speaks through us as we interact throughout the course of the day, therefore keeping the devil away from us, and we're able to live more of that Christ-like life. That in turn will make your life a lot better because you will let go of all of these earthly things, like the money, like the stuff that you got to have, any of the 7 deadly sins. It is a practice. And so don't ever give up. Recognize that it's like eating an elephant. You know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Just one little piece every single day will improve, have significant changes in your life over time. So don't forget to look back. Now, don't look back so that we get salty like Lot's wife. You look back to see how far you have come from where you were. And once you see the distance that you've traveled, it makes it easier to continue to look forward and see that there will be progress made, even though it doesn't look like progress has been made right now.
Exactly. I mean, it's just like Craig said this morning, you know, you get a time, you get a plan, and you just continue. And then it gets to the point where, you know, it's just automatic and you crave it and you want it more. It's just like when you start working out, you know, it sucks at first, but then it gets to the point where you have to have it. So it's just a matter of knowing that this is what must be done for your salvation. Anyway, are you ready?
Very well said. Yes, ma'am.
Can you read that, please?
Yes. Dr. Phil goes out with Tom Homan, interviews illegal alien charged with sex crimes against children.
Yep. Let's listen.
What's your name?
Seda. Seda what? You have a first and last name. Sam. Seda Sam? Yes.
Where are you from?
Where I was born or where I'm from?
Where are you born?
Thailand.
You've been deported before from the United States?
No.
Never been deported?
I've been in the system before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been charged with
Charged with?
before?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna talk about lawyer.
Yeah. Are you a citizen?
My mom's a citizen.
Your mother's a citizen?
Yes.
But you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
We Dr. Phil. We got Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, you know, on TV.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children. And he's walking the streets of Chicago. again, the downfall, the problem with the sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than local law enforcement working with federal agents. This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
Not really.
Not really? And never been deported?
Nope.
Huh.
Let's take them in and process them, lock them up.
Got it, sir. All right. Can we get a transport vehicle? Working on it. Okay.
Wrong one. Damn it. There we go. That's how you deal with that. All right. So, yeah, that's an interesting little tidbit there. Clearly, he was lying. I don't know how, especially with the way things have been, that his mom was a citizen, but he wasn't, and yet he was here in the U.S. Clearly, he doesn't really know what he's lying about. He's just lying because he thinks that that's going to get him there. Also, do you have a right to a lawyer if you're not a citizen? I mean, if you're an invader to a nation and you're part of basically a foreign mercenary army, what rights do you get? I mean, you don't even get Geneva Convention rights as far as I'm concerned. I think that, yeah, as a matter of fact, that's against the rules of warfare and could be dealt with easily right there on the street corner. But America's doing things the right way. Tom Homan is preventing that from happening. They should be grateful that Tom Homan is in charge, because if there really was a tyrant in the office who hated all of these people that the left keeps on trying to say that President Trump hates, they'd just plug him and leave his corpse on the street. You know, maybe stick a pike in him and send him up, so that way there's no mistaking in terms of how we feel about things like this. But that's not what happens. That's not what's happening. What's happening is the rule of law. They snatch this dude up. They put him in cuffs. He's going to be charged, and then they're going to deal with him in a civil kind of way. And that's exactly the way things should be dealt with. We can't have any vigilante justice. And we can't have some Judge Dredd crap going on where, you know, I am the law, Sylvester Stallone out and stuff like that. That's not what we're looking for. This is the rule of law. And as the rule of law is being utilized to retake our nation from the criminals that have been running it for so long, it will ensure the continued, retaking back of our nation, taking our nation back. And it's got to be done the right way. Otherwise, it's all for nothing.
Yeah.
F. Clint says, Dr. Phil seemed to want to cap his ass on the spot. Dr. Phil did seem like he wanted to put a cap in him right there, didn't he? Chachi says, those 911 terrorists at Gitmo.
9/11.
Yeah, the 9/11 terrorists at Gitmo got lawyers up the ass funded by us. Yeah, that was when the Bushes and Obamas, all those people that are part of the same team that hates America. Yeah, but they do deserve lawyers. They do need representation. I think that that's extremely important. That's one of the principles that founded this nation. Should we have to pay for it? No, we shouldn't, because we shouldn't be having these kinds of issues. Of course, we wouldn't have these kinds of issues if people like the McCains and the Bushes and the Obamas weren't the clowns that were actually funding, and the Bidens were the ones that were funding all of this shit. Don't forget the Clintons.
Yeah.
Don't forget the Clintons.
Exactly. Ugh. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
Let's see. Ukrainian immigrant tells Tucker that her parents came here for the American dream, but now.
Let's listen.
This is sad to see, because I immigrated here from Ukraine, and
when?
5 years ago.
Did you speak English when you got here?
No.
You have excellent English for 5 years. That's amazing.
I learned English while I was in high school, and my parents here came for American Dream. They heard a lot about it, and now as I'm looking here, we're losing all of that. We're losing American freedom. We're like out of our minds now. We're now talking about unicorns, pronouns, all of that. Why is this happening? We have so many real issues that we need to focus on instead of that.
It must be scary to show up in a country you think is one thing, and all of a sudden they're, off in this completely bizarre stuff.
That's true. And the amount of times, like, my parents are so busy, they're working hard just to stay here, especially staying in California. California is such an expensive state. Now we have inflation. Gas was, I was passing by San Diego airport. I saw $5.75.
Did you get a free cell phone when you came?
Oh, no, of course.
Wow.
Everyone at the border is waiting for that.
It's pretty discouraging.
Thoughts?
All right.
Hey,
so-
Jenny.
Hey, Jenny.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Watch out for the frogs, Jenny.
Watch out for the frogs, Jenny. Yeah, and congratulations to the kid for winning. That's going to be encouraging for everybody. So enjoy that. Now, speaking of winning, this isn't going to be a problem for people like this young lady ever again. We've met. We have a good friend. Kay's known this lady for how many years now? That's from Ukraine.
Almost 10 now.
Yeah, 10 years. And true blue American, just bleeds red, white, and blue. She loves this country. She loves everything about it. She realizes that America is...
She came here legally.
Yeah, she came here legally, of course. These are important things. She's an amazing woman. These are amazing people all over the world who want to be here because they realize that life is more than just being enslaved by some people who think themselves to be royalty everywhere else on the planet. Whereas here, this country's not supposed to be like that. We're all equals, and that equality is what people seek. And that equality is what makes America great. It is the American greatness that is the dream. The fact that you have the ability to become more if you put the work and the effort in. She came here, she couldn't speak a word of English. And by the time she was done with high school, she was speaking, almost native, but obviously a very heavy accent. But it is what is coming to America. You come here, you assimilate, you learn to speak the language, you learn the laws, you learn how everything works, and you are a decent human being who becomes a productive member of society, so that way you can go get all of the nice things in this world. And then she's talking about how her parents, I wish they wouldn't have picked California just because it's so impossible to be able to try to afford anything. I don't know if there's anything even in San Diego County that's less than $500,000. And I'm talking about a 1-bed, 1-bath, like 400 square foot studio apartment for that matter. Right. And
That
so
they call a condo.
Yeah, that they call a condo. Yeah, it was an apartment that anyways, regardless. It's difficult, but they're there, they're working, and they're doing everything they can to make sure that they have a roof over their head and that they're doing all the things they're supposed to do. They're not sitting on their ass. It shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this difficult. And this young lady is the kind of immigrant that America wants. The people who want to be a part of what makes the United States, these United States.
Mm-hmm. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that, please?
Yes. Stephen A. Smith stuns the Bill Maher crowd into silence over Democrats' massive failures.
Let's listen.
That's all they do.
Here's the deal. The man was impeached twice. He was convicted on 34 felony counts. And the American people still said, he's closer to normal than what we see.
Exactly.
Left. That's what they're saying. He's closer to normal. Why? Because something that pertains, when you talk about the transgender community, for example, and you're talking about the issues that pertain to less than 1% of the population, the Democratic Party came across as if that was a priority more so than the other issues. And so he comes into office. Now you're talking about childbirth, citizenship, and what have you. He knows that's not going to pass the mustard, but he knows that he made that promise. So when he shows up week 1 on Capitol Hill and he says, this is what we're going to do through an executive order, even though it's going to be shot down through the courts and what have you, he's saying, I kept my promise. A lot of other things that he's going to point to that he's going to try to do. I kept my promise. Then you turn around and you look at the left and you say, what promises did you keep? Now, you might know the answer to that. I'm certainly not questioning your knowledge about that at all. What I'm saying is what resonated with the voter. What voter out there can look at the Democratic Party at this moment in time and say, there's a voice for us, somebody that speaks for us, that goes up on Capitol Hill and fights the fights that we want them fighting on our behalf. They didn't do that. And that's why their behinds are home, and that man is back into the White House, and they want to sit up there and talk. You look at the networks right now, they're talking about him. Look at it. This is the latest. Look at him. Here he goes again. Well, you know what here he goes again means? He's doing what he said he was going to do. He promised you he was going to do these things, and he walked into office week 1, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's saying, y'all do something about it. And when you try to do something about it, he's going to say, look at them now. Now they're concerned about these issues. Were they talking about that during the campaign? Hell no. That's really it.
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
Well, look.
Thoughts?
All right. And that's pretty much what he had to do. He just went straight up Leroy Jenkins and just dropped some truth bombs all over the place. It was a glorious thing to watch right there. Everybody was sitting in stunned silence, and Bill Maher even agreed with what he was saying in the beginning. But then again, Bill Maher, the person that's playing the character, if it's even him anymore, because we know all the stuff that we know about Bill Maher, it points to exactly what, it points exactly to the reason why President Trump got elected. He does what he says. People are sick of the lies. Everybody says, politicians, they just say whatever they want to get into office. And then this is the refresher. It's like a little spritzer or something. It's nice and cool in the summer kind of thing. And it's because President Trump is actually following through with the stuff that he said. Also, everything that he's saying is a benefit to the people and not to the few who are the elected class within this country. See, there was still just enough left of the foundation of what this nation was to get us to be able to save this nation without having to go to Pew Pew Town. And I would say that is the thing that we should be thanking God for every single day, because we were able to do this peacefully, and we're watching it happen as peacefully as it could possibly happen. But everybody is going to be forced to wake up as their life gets better, as President Trump follows through. The people who were holding on to what the left was telling them, they will be forced to have their eyes opened and see that they were wrong. And that's what we need. We need people to recognize that they're not perfect. That's really the reason why we're here, is giant egos thinking that they know better than everybody else, and without listening to even family members that are trying to have that rational discussion. Well, we tried the rational discussion. At least enough people woke up to the rational argument, and we got President Trump elected back in. Now, let's see how great it can be, so that way we can get this country truly back on track. Exactly, Jenny. Promises made, promises kept.
Exactly. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read that, please?
DeSantis masterfully educates reporter on term undocumented immigrants.
Let's listen.
Yeah.
News Channel 4 here in Jacksonville. I just have 4 questions. One, Florida is home to hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants who are working in areas.
Well, so the federal government has made clear that the statutory term, it's not they're illegal aliens. That's the statutory term. That's what it is. And I think it's to try to water down. I mean, like, undocumented, it's like if I get in my car and I forget my wallet, okay, I don't have my document on me, like my driver's license. But I mean, I still have a right to drive. I just made a mistake. This is intentional to come in illegally. And it's not just a question of missing a document. It's a question of, you violated the law that were very clear, and knowingly, and with the help of the cartels in many cases.
So Florida is home to hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants, who are illegal aliens, if you want to call it, who are.
Homeboy just got smacked down.
Thoughts?
And he was forced to change his ways, because the legal term is what he was getting at. What you go to court for is the fact that you are an illegal immigrant. Plain and simple. Not undocumented migrants. That's just fancy weasel wording that swamp donkeys gave us to try to get us. Again, they always try to change the language. And then I kind of wanted to touch on this that Carol was talking about. President Trump should have dealt with the dreamers in his first term. Here's the problem with that. I know lots of dreamers, Las Vegas. We have lots of immigrants, from the South, right? And I went through HVAC class with a dreamer specifically in that class. I went to Iraq with a dreamer. He died over there in Iraq, and he was given his citizenship posthumously. But the gentleman that I'm speaking about right now is he has been here his entire life, and he's fallen under the Dreamer Act that has so many people here. He knows absolutely nothing about Mexico. He would not be able, like he's gone back and visited family and they treat him like a pariah because they see him as an American, not as a Mexican. And he has tried time and time again to get all the paperwork and everything done. But the problem is it was a rat hole designed by the left to put these people in a permanent state of limbo. So therefore, that limbo is not necessarily the dreamer's fault because the system has been broken. So I think that there's going to be a nice, long, hard look about how this is supposed to work out, because there are very good people who are productive members of society, who do pay taxes, that aren't getting the free cell phone. They aren't taking unemployment. They're not taking any of that stuff. They're just good, hardworking Americans because that's all they know. And so there has to be a lot of grace given, and we need to be open to various possibilities. We have to wake up ourselves as well. Even though we are hostile to all of this illegal immigration, there are people who had a pathway that was semi-legal, but they were never given the opportunity to try to get out of that gray legal area that they were put in by the swamp. So we got a lot of work to do. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate that.
Are you ready?
Yes.
How about some Kelly?
I could use some Kelly.
Let's listen.
Oh, he looks hostile.
Can I show you something in the Bible today that might just change your life forever? You remember the story of the woman with the issue of blood, right? Yes, Kelly, we know that story. I know it really well. What could you possibly teach me that I don't already know? Oh, I am so glad you asked. But you also know there's been this age-old debate. Is this walk with God all about our faith or our actions? So let's use this story to find our answer. In Matthew 9, verse 20 to 22, we see a little bit of her story. The Bible tells us, just then, a woman who had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding came up behind Jesus, and she touched the fringe of his robe, for she thought, if I can just touch his robe, I know I'll be healed. So she did, and she was healed. But then Jesus turned around, and when he saw her, he said, "Daughter, be encouraged. Your faith has made you well." And the woman was healed at that very moment. Oh, this is about to get good. So let me ask you a question. When did she get healed? Kelly, seriously, bro, the Bible just told you. She touched his robe, she was healed. Okay. So what you're telling me is she received her healing when she touched his robe. Okay, that sounds pretty good to me. Can I challenge your thinking for a minute? If she got healed when she touched his robe, then why didn't Jesus say to her, "Go, I have just healed you. Go, my robe just healed you. Go, the Father healed you"? That's not what he said, is it? What did he say again? Oh, yeah. Go, for your faith has healed you. Yeah, Kelly, same thing. She believed, so she touched it, she was healed. I see where you're coming from, but my question was, when did she receive her healing? If it was her faith that made her well, where's the moment of faith? In James 2, verse 22, the Bible teaches us that it's our actions that complete our faith. You getting it? So let's use that and go back to our story. You see, the moment that this woman received her healing wasn't when she touched his robe. That's when the healing manifested. Okay, so when did she receive her healing? When she thought. You see, faith comes through hearing the word of God. This woman had been bleeding for 12 years. Now, when I was a kid and I read this story, I thought that meant that she was just bleeding all over the place. But that's not the case. It was internal. Just like some of you, you may be bleeding internally. You've got an issue that you're dealing with and nobody else can see, but you know it's there. However, somebody told her about Jesus. She heard about what Jesus was doing, and it started to build her faith. And because her faith started to grow, it changed the way she thought. And she finally says, I think that if I touch his robe, that's all I need to be healed. And ladies and gentlemen, right there in that moment, she got her healing. In that moment that she believed, if I touch Jesus, I'll be healed, that healing belonged to her. Listen, my friends, the truth of the situation is this. You may have an issue, and it might have been going on way longer than 12 years. But there's a greater truth, and that's Jesus paid the price on the cross 2,000 years ago for your healing, for your deliverance, for your marriage, for your kids, for your finances. He bought it all. And just like this woman, it's time for you to believe that. But belief in and of itself is not enough, because it's our actions that complete our faith. You see, the healing belonged to her as soon as she believed it was possible, but the healing didn't show up until she took action. You see, that's why the argument about is it faith or is it our actions, that seems completely ridiculous to me. They go hand in hand. Every action you make throughout the day is telling yourself and everyone around you exactly what you believe. If you say you believe that God is your provider, but you live in constant stress and anxiety and worry about your bills and the things that you need, do you really believe that God is the provider? Or are you trying to make it happen on your own? That's why Jesus told her, go, your faith has healed you. Girl, you were healed the minute you believed, but your healing didn't show up until you made the move. See, the Bible also tells us in James that if we draw near to God, God will draw near to us. But don't miss that. Step one is always on me and you. So let me encourage you today. If you know that you know that you know that Jesus bought and paid for everything for you on the cross 2,000 years ago, and I say, it's time to go get it. Go get the marriage you've been believing for. Go get the healing that you know is yours. Go get your promised land. Take a step in faith today, not acknowledging what you see, rather acknowledging what you believe about your God. For her, it was to touch the robe of Jesus. For you, it might be asking someone else to believe for this miracle with you. Hey, will you pray with me? Will you stand in agreement with me? I know that my God paid for my marriage, my healing, my deliverance, my finances 2,000 years ago. And my Bible says, would two or more gather and ask for anything in his name, it shall be done. So let's believe together. Oh, friends, that's an action step. Maybe you need a new vehicle, a new job, a new whatever. For you, your action step might just be, since you have a need, go meet a need in someone else. Because when you let go of your life, when you stop using your hands to fix and build what you've got going on, that is when God can take his and start working on you. But you got to shift your focus from you to him to make that happen. You see, in our Bible, this story is under the heading of the woman with the issue of blood. But she did have a name. She just forgot what it was. There can come a point in your life where your issue becomes your identity. That's why I love that at the end, Jesus, for the first and only time in his life, he calls her his daughter. He say, yeah, you and everybody else may identify you by your issue, just like you and everybody in your life. But Jesus says the truth is, you're not the woman with the issue of blood. You're my daughter. When all you can see is your issue, it's hard to have faith. But when you see yourself as a son or daughter of the king, oh, son, if he has access to it, so do I. Raise your faith today and go put it in action and watch what God will do in and through you. And think about that for a minute.
Thoughts?
All right. So Jenny hit the nail on the head at the right time. It was her faith that healed her. See, she let, did you want that up?
Oh, no.
Okay. Just checking. So it was her faith that healed her. She knew that she would be healed once she touched the hem of his garment. Poof, she touches the hem of his garment and she's healed. And then Yeshua turned around and said, it is your faith that healed you. She could have picked anything, but she chose being able to touch the hem of his garment. But it was actually the faith itself that is what healed her. She had the faith in God all of the time, but she needed that moment specifically. And what Yeshua is trying to teach us is it is your faith. The faith is the key. That faith of a mustard seed. You have to have that that absolute faith that it will happen and it can happen. But we get all of these things in our head because we've seen reality so long that we feel like we can't have those miracles. But we have to open our hearts up to that concept that the miracle can happen as soon as we believe. We have to understand that it's the belief that gets us there. So try to work on your belief that it will happen, as opposed to the brain that tells you that miracles only happen if you can hit these certain steps. It's not Jacob's ladder. You don't have to climb up the whole ladder to get the healing. You just have to have faith that that healing has already happened. And if that doesn't work for you, pick something that's going to let you know that you have that kind of faith. It's all an exercise, and it's how we apply that exercise that determines what we get out of what we put into the universe. So make sure that you're being very careful with your thoughts and your actions, and that they are aligned with the things that you want out of life.
Amen. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's listen.
All righty.
People haven't figured out how to read between the lines of Trump's rhetoric. Make Canada the 51st state. Of course, that's ridiculous. But Justin Trudeau did step down and will probably get some fair trade deals. Buy Greenland. Well, that's preposterous. But when you look at Greenland's strategic position in the North Atlantic and at the vast natural resources on and around Greenland, and realize that Russia has been very active in that region, Russia doesn't care what Denmark thinks. This is Trump's way of putting Russia on notice. Take back the Panama Canal. Well, that's not going to happen. But China has been spreading its influence and investing hundreds of billions of dollars in South and Central America. So by putting the spotlight on the Panama Canal, this is Trump's way of telling China, we know what you're doing in our hemisphere. So there's always an end game.
Thoughts?
It is an interesting perspective, like you said. I don't know if I'm 100% in agreement that all of it was just kind of trash talking from President Trump. I believe there's something behind it. But at the same time, I understand that all of these things are going on. And it's also a perspective that we can give to people who believe that Trump is in bed with Putin. See, the thing is Greenland is very important for the Russian Navy to come down along our coasts and be within striking range with their submarines and whatever the case may be. Denmark doesn't have the ability to secure the coasts of Greenland, so they can put people on there all the time. Therefore, it can be a launching point for any kind of operations that are going on. That's extremely important. Also, with Canada, they're tied to the UK. The UK has very much been a part of jacking with the United States and has kept us in this loop of the perpetual war machine that has gone on. And we're sick and tired of that crap too. And I'm pretty sure everybody here is following with the whole corporation of the United States and how DC is the military wing, that the Crown is the money, and that the Vatican is the leadership of the corporation that runs the entire planet. So it's again a clap back to the swamp, the international cabal that's trying to take over the world. These are all done for a reason. But I don't think, especially with how bad the UK was with the native peoples of Canada, which was actually worse than us here in the United States, and it continued on for significantly longer than anything that happened here. I think that there is a possibility that if Canada chooses to be, we can split it up into several states. I don't think that that would be a bad thing. I think it is very important for the United States to have more control over what goes on in this hemisphere, because it's the only way we can provide that separation between us and the rest of the global powers that are in the world that really hate what the United States stands for, because all of their best people want to leave their nations and come here. All of the people are tired of the royal concept because they truly believe that they have rights to everybody's resources and that they don't have to do any of the work themselves other than continue to be tyrants. The world's tired of it. And the United States is that example about how we don't need royals.
Exactly.
Steph says, I think it's about 50-50, Santino, but there's something going on. There is something going on. And I do think 50-50 about whether or not we get Canada is about where I'm at too. Could go one way or the other. But I don't know. The way President Trump talks about stuff sometimes, I kind of have a feeling that he's got his eye on Canada because Canadians are sick and tired of all the woke crap, which was imported from Canada, about how great everything Europe does. Oh, the Canada has free medicine, but you talk to any Canadian and they say it's absolute trash. They don't want to be a part of their system as much as we don't want to be a part of their system too. Hope says, I think Greenland might be a done deal. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. Either way, we'll see how it pans out.
Right? You ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
RFK Jr. exposes the trust the experts scam as unscientific.
Let's listen.
It is a logical fallacy.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
This phrase, trust the experts, it's not a thing. It certainly is not a feature of democracy. It's not a feature of science. In science, you don't trust the experts. Never. No, I've had over 500 cases. And in each one of them, there was scientific controversy and there was experts on both sides. When I sued Monsanto came in with experts from Stanford, Harvard, and Yale. My wife, who's an actor, came to court that day on the last day of their testimony. She watched these people, and then afterwards, and they're so convincing. She walked out and she said, why are you even troubling this poor company? To me. And I would wait till tomorrow. The next day, we had our experts from Harvard, Stanford, and Yale. And the jury gave us $2.2 billion. They had heard both of them, and they had to decide which expert is lying. And experts have their own prejudice, they have their own biases, and their own ambitions, et cetera. And so it's not, trusting the experts is not a feature of science. It's not a feature of democracy. It's a feature of religion and totalitarianism. But it's not something we do.
It is a feature of totalitarianism. There's no two ways about it. Trust the experts is merely, you have to listen to me because I said so. There's no other way around that. And this is one of the problems of the way the swamp has destroyed our education system, because we should be teaching logic and rhetoric. People should understand how to argue a point without just being argumentative. That is one of the issues. We have become argumentative because everybody has watched, I don't know, too much lawyer TV or some bullshit and thinks that that's the way shit's supposed to work, but that's not how it works. We have to understand logic. We have to understand reason. We have to understand rhetoric. And one of the first things is understanding the logical fallacies. And so, and the logical fallacy is appeal to authority. That is a reason to not listen to somebody, especially when they say, well, I am an expert. An expert at what? And that doesn't mean that you're perfect. It just means you spent a lot of time researching it, but it doesn't make your analysis any better than anybody else's on the planet. The end.
The end. You ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
Yes. Promises made, promises kept. Service members who were ousted for refusing the jabs are vindicated.
Let's listen.
Let us.
Later today, President Trump is going to sign an executive order. He has made good on another campaign promise. He has restated, as of one half hour ago, thousands of U.S. troops with full pay after they were kicked out of the military for refusing a COVID vaccine during the Biden administration. This is welcome news for our next guest, who introduced the bill fighting for this very cause almost 2 years ago. Retired Army Ranger, Republican Congressman from the beautiful state of Florida, Brian Mast, joins us right now. Brian, good morning to you.
Good to see you.
Well, Congressman, this is great news. Trump said he was going to do this. And ultimately, 8,000 men and women who got kicked out with this mandate by Joe Biden, they can go back. They can get their job at the rank, back pay, same pay. This is a great day for them.
Great day for patriots. Great day for our service members, my brothers and sisters in arms. And let's not forget, you go back in time, and it wasn't just the military, it was other government agencies as well, where they were washing essentially conservatives that were raising their hands saying, hey, I don't want to take this vaccine. They were washing them out of government, washing them out of West Point and Naval Academy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Merchant Marine Academies, washing them out from being on the next promotion boards for first sergeants, sergeants majors, or officers. And they were creating a system where the ones that were going to be giving promotion to the next classes of individuals were all going to be those that didn't say, no, I'm not a conservative, and you know, I'm okay with everything that you're doing right now. That's what was taking place.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Ooh, I got some opinions about this, because this should only be the beginning of that. See, the thing is the officers that said, oh, I'm okay with kicking out a whole group of people because they disagree with the way I feel. How you doing? Happy days. Thanks for joining. Anyways, they're just as guilty as the people who committed the crime against all of the American people, because they were the ones that were enforcing it. They are, in the end, the ones that would have silenced people because Adolf Hitler told them to do so. Well, I like what Adolf Hitler says, so therefore I think that we should do this regardless of what you see. How anti-American can you be? And to be in the military, that's a real problem. That's something that needs to be investigated and something that needs to be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
We've got real problems with these people who were in and were enforcing this. There needs to be a house cleaning, and the military needs to be a lot smaller. Needs to be a lot smaller. There needs to be a lot more reserve and National Guard and a lot less active duty. That's where I stand on the whole thing.
Exactly. I mean, you ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
Yes. House Republicans pushing to rename Dulles Airport after 47.
Let's listen.
Dulles Airport could have a brand new name. House Republicans are reintroducing a bill to rename it Donald J. Trump International Airport. A North Carolina congressman says 2 airports servicing the nation's capital should duly honor 2 of the best presidents.
Thoughts?
I disagree. I don't think anybody should be named after anybody until years after they have passed. That's one of the things that I really like about what the Catholic Church does, is you're not allowed to call somebody a saint until so much time after they have died. So that way you can let the fervor that surrounds the individual to simmer down some, so that way cooler heads prevail. Otherwise, if we hadn't done that way, how much crap do we have that would have been named Obama land by now? See,
right.
As much as I love President Trump and I think that he's a great president, let's wait before we give him the Nobel Peace Prize, you know, kind of thing. You know, they gave Obama the Nobel Peace Prize before he even started his first military action, before he even decided whether or not he was going to pull us out of Iraq based off of all of his BS promises that he gave us. We need to slow down before we start naming shit after people. That's all I got. Chachi says, my son's luckily missed the requirement right before he discharged, but a bunch of his friends had to get jabbed. Yeah, I'm going to class with a bunch of people who got the jab, and they were like the first class that had to get it, and they had no idea. I know that when you're in boot camp, you're far removed from everything, and so you're just going off of the little bit of information you get, and so they're sitting there thinking that everybody's dying all over the place, when in all actuality, the truth is it was the common cold.
Exactly.
Thanks, Mike.
It's ridiculous. I mean, if it was so bad, we would have had just people falling over on the streets.
And that was one of the things I was saying is, use your eyes. They're telling you people are dying everywhere. Do you see anybody lying on the street? And they were comparing it to the Black Plague. Well, there were dead people all over the streets and people who were in various states of dying, and they had to use wheelbarrows to carry all of the bodies. Not just wheelbarrows, but entire carts, horse-drawn carts where they just hucked bodies on top of the back of the cart. We didn't see anything close to that. When we see people lying on the streets and they've got boils festering and popping on their skin and, huddled in the corner somewhere, then we got some real problems. But until then, and we need our medical industry to not tell us ever again, trust me, because I'm a doctor. They blew that shot. It's all over. I don't think anybody should believe the industry without seeing. You know what? I'm from Missouri. Show me.
Yeah.
We should all be from Missouri now. Yeah. And we should all be shown.
Yeah. Me too, Don. Me too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was so pissed about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so many people were calling it and just silenced.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, legacy media. That's why you're the legacy as opposed to the current, where people get their news from. Because you're a bunch of lying sacks of shit.
Yes.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Have the day you deserve.
Have the day you deserve.
Ready?
Yes.
Let's listen.
All right.
Don't give up. If you've been believing all year for your family to be restored, don't give up. If you've been on the brink of financial ruin, but somehow God has made ends meet every month, but he promised you something is going to change, don't give up. If you've been fighting that fight of lust and temptation, but you made it this far, don't give up.
Thoughts?
So, we can never give up. There's no benefit to giving up, especially if you have been on this journey, your own personal life journey, to find that whatever can't really be communicated, except for we know that the Bible talks to us about it, and that a lot of various religions around the world are kind of pointing to that very enlightenment or receiving the Holy Spirit. Now, my personal opinion, I believe that there's only one true way to get to exactly where you want to be. But I also know that there are all these other types of philosophies that do help people receive some kind of enlightenment. And I think that that's great. But regardless is you have already started this process and you have made so much progress to get to where you're at today. And this is one of those things where it's okay to look back. Don't look back to turn into that pillar of salt. We're not Lot's wife. What we are trying to do is we're trying to see how far, talking while Italian. Anyways, we're trying to see how far we have come so that way it makes it a little bit easier to stay the course. So make sure that you're just keeping that movement forward, one foot in front of the other. No matter how laborious it may seem at the time, it is the most important thing you can do to continue on your path to get to overcome your very human and fleshly desires to the best of your ability. It leads to somewhere, and it certainly leads to a better life and a cleaner living, which in the end provides true joy. And in the end, I think that's what we really seek, is an unshakable joy.
Yes.
What's up, Brother Bill? Thanks for
Bill
joining.
in the house.
Brother Bill.
You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read that, please?
LOL, when ICE shows up at your door.
Let's listen.
All right.
Yeah, hello? This is an officer with ICE doing a routine check. Well, I'm an American citizen. Well, we have questions that'll determine that answer. Okay. How many points are scored in a football game? 6. We want to make America great again. Who's the best female artist? Taylor Swift. All right, last question. Can you say Walmart? Sir, can you say Walmart? Yes, I know. Walmart.
Thought.
The comedy that's coming out because of this is hilarious.
I know.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about that.
It's just needed a laugh.
Yeah.
Needed a laugh. You ready?
Yes.
Can you read that, please?
All right. Trump administration already found 80,000 of the missing children the Biden regime ignored.
Interesting, isn't it? Let's listen.
Yeah.
Now, the second wave that Tom Homan, the borders are for, Trump has told me about, and all of this will focus on those missing children, hundreds of thousands of them that we know. And that number has started to already come down, Emily, from 300,000. So they've found about 75 to 80,000 of those kids already. If they can get the list of these guys, 4 full days in office for Trump, if they can get the list of where some of those kids have been, and they've been identifying it, you know, since the election, going after them and trying to find those little ones, what in the world was Biden's administration doing? What was Secretary of Homeland Mayorkas doing when he said to the committees on Capitol Hill, we don't know where those kids are, I'll look into it? No, dude, you obviously had a better way to find them, and you didn't do your job. I can't believe they impeached him and didn't remove him.
Thoughts?
So I think that the comment that you wrote there, I think it's exactly the point that was being made. They were able to find 80,000 missing children in 7 days. And then to follow up with what she was saying simultaneously while you wrote that is that, it really asks the question, and it forces the question of how. Why did it happen the way it did, and why is it happening this way now? It's because there was an attempt to make all of these people disappear.
Yes.
But that's another reason why I believe that the slavers are not only active, but they're active and are inside of the government of our United States. It needs to be dealt with. But the only way to get that dealt with is to show how corrupt and wrong they've been. And this proof that's just been provided only acts as another nail in their coffin that they so desperately deserve. Steph says, wonder where they found him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is
Things that
interesting,
make
isn't
you
it?
go,
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting question.
Very much so.
Mhm.
You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read that, please?
How libtards must be feeling right now.
Let's listen.
God.
Trump is making Saudi Arabia invest $600 billion into America. No. Countries used to always make us give them money, and now he's making countries invest in America. Our tax money always went to Ukraine, Africa, and other countries, and we used to get mad. But now he's making countries give us money. Now they all want to invest in America. He's trying to make America great again. What are we gonna do? America keeps getting better by the day. Why is Trump doing this? We gotta stop him so we can be complaining about government again, giving away all our money. He also went to North Carolina and looked at all the damage when it took Biden forever to go. No! He says he wants to overhaul FEMA and make FEMA work for the people again. No! He's doing more in the week than Biden did in 4 years. Oh, no. I gotta get off here.
Thoughts?
Sometimes it really feels like that.
It does.
And it's their own damn fault.
Mm-hmm.
Because they whine about everything.
Yeah.
And that's coming from a guy who used to whine about everything.
I mean, they're But there really are people complaining about everything that Trump's
Of
doing.
course they are, because they're still brainwashed and they can't help themselves. But that's okay. The truth will set them free.
If they'll let it.
Well, that's up to them. That's not my problem.
I know.
Yeah, I've got my own issues to deal with. If other people want to hold on to crying forever and a day because President Trump is making America great again, then suck on it, Trebek. I got better shit to do with my time.
You can continue to be butthurt.
You can continue to be butthurt. There will be some salve at CVS.
Exactly. But I'll
Butthurt
enjoy
salve,
the,
yes.
I will enjoy the winning.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I will definitely enjoy the winning. As a matter of fact, I look forward to winning some more. Still haven't got sick of it yet, Mr. President, but I know you're working on it.
Yeah.
It's only been 7 days. We'll revisit this again.
Yes. You ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
Investigate every instance. Oh, wait. You're talking about the bottom. Trump admin to investigate every instance of trafficking that has been endemic for the last 4 years.
Let's listen.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen, as you know, 500,000 children trafficked over a 4-year period in the United States. This administration is going to investigate every instance of child trafficking, labor trafficking, sex trafficking, child smuggling, and all the attendant crimes involved in that. And our message to everyone in the country is to cooperate fully with immigration and customs enforcement so that we can end the scourge of child trafficking and child abuse that has been endemic these last 4 years.
Thoughts?
I wish I had a sound for that one. I guess it's the best I got. Of course, it's not exactly wrong, because really,
Again, 7 days.
Again, 7 days, and it's cooperate. How hard is it? I mean, obviously, you're not going to cooperate if you're here illegally, and you were part of the invading army that was here. But that's, kind of, we don't care about you. That's why we're sending these people after you. But everybody else with your, what is it? What do they call them? The new winter boots is the movement that's going on. Yeah, you don't put on the new winter boots because, yeah, that's not going to work. Not going to work well at all.
No. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's listen.
Okay.
Cut them off. Absolutely. You have a choice. Just because we're born into a toxic family does not mean we have to stay in one. I spent way too many years of my life feeling broken, disappointed. You got to save yourself first. You have to. And sometimes that means you need to cut the cord. You need to cut off these toxic people to preserve enough of yourself to go on to have a happy life.
Thoughts?
All right. Removing yourself from toxic situations is very different than forgiveness. It's easier to give forgiveness as long as you're not continuously being abused, right? And so creating some separation can be good, but it doesn't mean to forever write off anybody who treats you poorly. And that includes family members. Remember, we are supposed to honor our mother and father, and we are supposed to love our brothers and sisters, despite how difficult any of them may or may not make us feel and how we have these issues. And what we do is we pray. We pray for their healing. And we hope that if we are that person that needs that healing and needs those prayers, we would hope and pray that they would pray for us just the same. And then when they come around, we should have an open enough heart to be able to let them back in. And I think that the story of Joseph is probably one of the better examples. After all, his brothers beat him, threw him in a pit. Some slavers came by. He got sold into slavery, and then he was a slave for the rest of his life, belonging to Pharaoh of Egypt. And then one day they happen to come across his path, and he happens to be the right hand of Pharaoh and has all of the power that Pharaoh had, short of Pharaoh saying, okay, that's enough. But other than that, he could have done anything, and nobody would have known or been any of the wiser had he had them rubbed out, I guess, for lack of a better word. But it was that forgiveness, and it was that relationship with God that made it so that way he could help them understand the pain that they put him through, and he was able to bring that family back together. And I think that in this day and age and in this time, we need family. Family is extremely important. And so we should be hoping and praying that our families can come back together in love. But if they can't figure out how to find that love in their heart, to stop acting in a way that is not loving to you or anybody else in your family, have the conversation. If they choose not to listen, then you have to let them go. In which case, then we use the concept of the prodigal son. The father was happy that his son had finally recognized that the love his father had for him. And it can go just as a child to a parent, or a sibling to another sibling, or whatever, or parent to a child, if that's the case. They have to find their rock bottom, basically, until they recognize that the love that you provide is worth more than the crap that they've got going on in their own little world. But always leave that room for grace and forgiveness, because after all, that's what the Father asks us to do, because we know that he gave us grace for all the sins that we had when we asked to come back home to him.
I agree with you. You ready?
Yes.
Let's listen.
All right.
Wolves can't stand biblically intelligent sheep. Your biblical intelligence will always frustrate those who can't run game on you. It's a whole cheat code. I know the word. I'm walking with the word. I sought the word. I prayed this morning. So I don't just say yes or no without first seeking the face of God.
Thoughts?
Got to seek the face of God. That's really in the end. And we might find ourselves in a difficult situation where who knows what's going on, but it can be an extreme challenge to you. But inside the face of that person who can be that challenge is the face of God. God is trying to teach you something through that person that you may need at that point in time. And it may not feel good and it may not be right, but it is happening in your life. And we understand that nothing happens by accident, that everything happens for God's divine purpose. So understand that role that you have going on. Always seek God's face first.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bill. That's the best biblical advice I've ever heard you give. Well, thank you. Guess I need to keep raising the bar.
Yes.
Steph says, I just pray that we can really let go and let God heal this division that has happened because of the way that we have been treated on this side of the fence. You understand what I'm saying? Actually, I do. Keep that back up. Or pop that back up. Actually, I would say that when we pray, that we have already let it go, and we know that God is healing this division that is between each and every one of us. I will say that what I'm seeing is that people are coming back together, that people are leaving their very myopic view of their version of life, and that they see that things aren't working well. And so make sure that we say our prayers as if they have already been done.
Mm-hmm.
He's already started the healing. We just have to be willing to accept it.
Yes. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
I got Trump talking about no tax on anything. Let's listen.
All right.
So we'll probably move them to the border. Yeah. She said no tax on it. How about just no tax? We could do that. You know, if the tariffs work out like I think, a thing like that could happen, if you want to know the truth. You know.
Viva Las Vegas. That was here in Vegas, y'all. That's amazing. And that's why the tip thing came up, because this is where he said no tax on tips. And I do believe that this is something that can happen, that we might not have a need for an internal revenue service if the revenue from the tariffs and everything coming in through the ports is actually dealt with properly. See, the thing is that money's been getting paid anyways. It's just been getting paid to individuals to stuff some pockets. But if the government's there actually doing the right thing and making sure that the money is coming to the people of the United States, then we can actually run the way it used to run before we had the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice. I don't know if it'll happen anytime soon because there's a lot of people whose jobs actually revolve around taxes. And so that would be a difficult thing to try to manage as we're going through all of these changes as a nation. There's going to be a lot of federal workers who are out of a job or they're going to be moving to other places. It's going to affect property values in the DC area, most assuredly, just because they got to get the hell out of there and go to wherever it is that they're going to go because there's not going to be jobs in DC anymore. That's a good thing for America. But I will say that this talk of tariffs and everything is something that we need to have honest conversations with our friends who don't necessarily believe in what Trump has to offer because they believe that it's going to cause the prices of everything to go up. However, if we explain how the tariffs work, i.e., if there is an American company that is making cell phones, obviously an American company making American cell phones in the United States of America isn't going to be able to get the slave labor rates without our illegal aliens here. They're not going to be able to get those slave labor rates to be able to compete with the cost of what the slave labor our iPhones and Androids are made over there in China. And so what do? Well, we say, oh, it costs X amount of dollars to produce this phone here in the United States, but they're cheating over there. So the phone will still be probably the same price. It's just that China isn't going to be able to scoop in all those profits. Apple isn't going to be able to scoop in all those profits. They will then be encouraged to open a phone manufacturing facility here in the United States and stop being so communist. So that way there are Americans who can make these phones and they'll be made a lot better. That's what people don't understand because it's been broken for so long.
It has been broken.
They're not going to put tariffs on coffee if a nation isn't, FA-ing, so now they have to FO, right? We already got that one figured out. But at the same time, the American coffee growers aren't going to be competing directly with because we only have so many places that can make the coffee. And so it's not apples to oranges kind of thing.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of education that happens about how tariffs are going to work, but it's up to us because we have a better understanding than the people who are just repeating the information that is provided to them on the television. We have to reach across the aisle. We have to let them know, I don't want citizens to go to jail because they're Mexican. I don't want somebody to go to jail because they have a green card. I don't want somebody to go to jail or get kicked out, not just jail, but get, launched out of the country because they came in and they've applied to become a citizen through Immigration and Naturalization Services.
Right.
Those are the kinds of lies that they're being fed. Oh, they're going to send my grandma away because she was born somewhere else, even though she's a citizen. Do you hear how stupid that is? And of course, we know they can't.
But that's what the left is pushing.
Well, that's what the left is pushing. So it's still important that we're doing the educating that we've had to do this entire time. We can't stop with what we've been doing. Otherwise, everything we have done will have been for nothing. And we don't need that devolution from all of the hard work that has gotten us to where we're at now. Hey, Unchained, thanks for joining again.
Yes.
All right. Oh, Chachi says, no tax and cheap energy would make a huge difference. Yeah, the cheap energy thing. I got some things about the cheap energy because I know that I'm getting screwed with our electricity out here, but Warren Buffett owns the company. So, I mean, that, might have something to do with it. When is that guy going away? I'm sick of him. Bill says to Chachi, they're coming. IRS is unconstitutional and about dead. Trump said he'd have half energy costs in the first year. Yes. I will say, though, Bill, I think that that's the exact reason why President Trump has created the external, or he is going to create the External Revenue Service. Oh, he already did it? Mm-hmm. The people in the IRS have to go somewhere. Again, these people need jobs. Their jobs just won't be in D.C. They'll be at every port of entry here in the U.S. but they will have a job, and they won't be the tax collectors that were so loved in the Bible.
Exactly. Ugh, you ready?
Yes.
Let's listen.
All right.
Like the parents that let the kids run amok and tell them they could do anything they fucking want to do. And now look at them, a bunch of spoiled little fucking brats that are like, no, I'm still a Democrat. Hold on, I didn't read anything about anything. I just know that I'm a Democrat because I'm a Democrat and I'm just a Democrat. And that's it. It's like, shut the fuck up. Being a Democrat means that you're out of your fucking mind now.
Yeah, it means you're
you
repulsive.
hurt people.
It means the shit you care about is fucking repulsive
I
to
know.
humanity and all.
Yes.
It's just fucking.
Thoughts?
They have been brats. I mean, that one video, we were watching a video last night about like the top 10 or what was it? Was it 10 or more of the videos that were fact checked on the Babylon Bee?
10.
Yeah, the 10 top fact checks of the Babylon Bee, as if the Babylon Bee needed fact checking because it's a satire site. But that is the petulant child brat thing that we've had to put up with is, oh, you're making a joke, so we're gonna shit on your parade kind of thing. We're tired of it. They've been brats. They have worn out any kind of grace that they would get for making us feel like we should care about what they have to say. They just need to know that they did it to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's your fault. You're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Big brats, Steph. Big old brats.
Yeah. Like John Wayne said, life is hard. It's harder if you're stupid.
Yeah. So
Hard truths.
Pay attention to this. This was very interesting.
Okay.
There's a whole channel on TikTok about it, but it says my transformation after leaving the rainbow for Christianity.
All right.
Let's watch.
Wow.
As long as I'm breathing, I've got a reason to praise the Lord. Oh, my soul. Oh, praise the Lord.
Thoughts?
Ain't that something? The beauty was always there. It was just hidden because of the desires to fit in with society and go along with what the world tells you, despite the fact that you know deep down inside in your own heart.
She considered herself a male.
She considered herself a male, and in her heart, I guarantee you, she knew otherwise. She was psyoped in the end, and now she's able to be her true self, and her unique gifts that God has given her, her talents, can now be unburied, so that way the world can see. I think that this is going to be a common story that we hear more and more moving forward as sanity returns to this nation.
Yep. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's listen.
All right.
Let me just say the progressions
EGLSES.
of not liking what Trump does,
Go
saying
Birds.
it's going to be horrible, and then admitting Trump was right. Here's step one.
Colombia's president says that the country will reject any and all deportation flights.
And Donald Trump says, that's fine. If you don't take your people, I'm going to tariff the fuck out of you. And here's how Harry responded.
Donald Trump's newly announced tariffs on Colombia will make some of the things you buy almost every single day far more expensive.
And then what we all knew what was going to happen happens.
It appears that Colombia has backed down in the feud against the United States, and they will now accept deportation flights.
It's almost like Donald Trump is really fucking good at negotiating. It's almost like he recognized we have the upper hand here. And instead of just bowing to whatever the fucking other country wants us to do, which is what Biden would have done, he says, no, fuck you. If you don't want to do it, here's the consequences. And they back the fuck down. Welcome to the art of the deal, U.S. president style.
Thoughts?
I mean, this is what we've been expecting this whole time. We know that President Trump is going to do the right thing for America, that there's probably going to be some kind of pushback, especially in the beginning. And then President Trump will, kind of lay it out there and say, this is the way the world works. And if you don't like it, then you can learn how the world works the hard way or a harder way. But there's always the option of America.
Yeah.
But we know President Trump doesn't like taking that option, but he's not, afraid to put that option on the table if absolutely necessary.
Well,
People are afraid. Go ahead.
It's just the fact that we actually have a president that has a brain now, and
Well,
it's amazing.
I mean, Biden may have had a brain once upon a time, but either way, it's going to be scary to the left because they have forgotten, if they're old enough to know how politics and international relations worked before, or even if they're old enough, but they've forgotten, or there's the group of the people on the left who have no idea because they've never seen international relations work properly within this country.
Yeah.
So they're going to be confused. And it's okay. You don't have to pat them on the head, but metaphorically, it'll be okay. Here's how it's going to work. And the more this goes about doing, the more President Trump goes about being a president of our nation as opposed to whatever nation these people have been working for this entire time. I think we kind of got an idea. But anyways, it's going to make it easier to educate those who have been indoctrinated so hard by the biggest indoctrination system that's probably ever existed on this planet. Brother Bill says Harry needs a real job, like cleaning out porta-johns by hand
With his toothbrush.
Harry's going to be around.
Yeah.
He's going to wake up, but he's going to be the future version of whatever the hell the Democrats become. I know that kid's stuck around, and he's probably going to continue to be around.
Yeah.
Whatever. At least it's not Kamala.
Well, there is that. Silver linings and all.
Silver linings and all that.
Yeah. Let's listen.
All right.
One of the ways that you know that you're in an unhealthy, fleshly family system, there's heightened anxiety. You're nervous, you're stressed, you're uncomfortable, you don't want to be there. You sort of dread going into it. When the phone rings and it's a relative, you're like, I don't want to answer, but I know they're going to leave a voicemail. They send a group text, you're like, I don't even know what to do with that. They're like, hey, when are you coming over for Christmas? You're like, I'm just praying for the rapture.
Thoughts?
It's, kind of what we got to do. Understand your anxiety teaches you something. And deal with it as best you can. But certainly don't lash out and don't make a brouhaha about it. You want to try to control your emotions and make sure that you're guarding your heart and that you are guarding your sanity, because in the end, it just might be a misunderstanding, in which case we have to recognize when we're upset at somebody else that we have to look in the mirror and find out what it is that's upsetting me about what I'm seeing, because I can see that within myself.
Well, not only that, but
that's the main part of it.
Not only that, but you have to understand that God says, lay all your anxieties on him because he's going to help you through it all.
There we go.
Because
Very much
being
so.
anxious, does it help you 1 minute of the day? No, it doesn't.
No, it does
and
not.
so he's always there for you. And just because you may not be getting along with someone in your family doesn't mean that you can't look in the mirror and see what's really going on.
Very true.
So there's that.
Beautifully said.
Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's listen.
All right.
Remember, this pain will leave as soon as it's done teaching you. Pain is a sculptor, and you are the marble. Every strike isn't destruction, it's creation. The hardships carve away your weakness, revealing the unbreakable core within you. Epictetus once said, "Difficulties show what men are." This is your proving ground, your crucible. Stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What's next?" The truth is, this pain has no power over you unless you give it permission. It will leave the moment it's done teaching you. Rise through this trial, and you'll never fear pain again. But instead, pain will fear you. So stand tall, endure, learn, grow, because the strongest oak only rises after the fiercest storm. And that storm, it's clearing a path for the person you're meant to be.
Thoughts?
Stop asking why me. There's always going to be a reason, and you may not know why in the beginning, but asking why me gets you nowhere. Just knowing that there is a purpose for his plan for you is key. All of us go through pain. All of us go through hurt. And all of us need to learn forgiveness. And I say it all the time. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for you. The reason why forgiveness is so important is because you want to keep your heart full of joy. All of us are so blessed. I guarantee you that there may have been times where you didn't get what you wanted, but I would almost guarantee you've always had what you needed. And that's the most important thing.
Beautifully said.
Seasoning?
The only seasoning I have would be the concept that it was presenting about being a sculpture. You could be a stone, and each time you get hit with that chisel with the hammer striking off little bits and pieces, it's to create a much more clear picture of who you really are. We learn a lot in our problems and our pains. So recognize, despite how difficult it is, know that it is building the masterpiece that God always saw inside of you. So, with that being said, I'd like to thank each and every one of you
Hold
for...
on a minute.
Okay.
Carol says, I've erased several comments tonight because I always think I say stuff the wrong way. So I just erased the whole thing.
Well, don't do that. I think I say dumb shit all the time, but yet here I am.
Yeah, don't erase comments. I think we are grateful for everything you say all of the time. So please don't ever erase a comment.
Everybody's voice is extremely important. And so everybody needs to make sure that they can be heard. And you know what? Even if things go across poorly, recognize that in the end, it's so that way we can grow. So recognize that everybody has something important to say. So if you are led to say something, feel free to say it.
Yeah,
That's important.
Yeah, Steph, even if we've moved on, please say it anyway.
Yeah. We got to go so fast
enjoy
anyways.
Hearing from each and every one of you.
I can't tell you how many times Kay tells me to keep it short because I'm rambling, because we got to try to keep, the show going. So yeah, folks, feel free to speak what's on your heart and minds, because I can't tell you how much I've learned from each and every one of you as you make comments. It makes me smarter. And so I appreciate that, because I couldn't get anywhere if it wasn't for everybody else. So
exactly.
I do thank each and every one of you. Yes. I really do, from the bottom of my heart, mean that. So anyways, it's about that time, y'all. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, be it 7 p.m. Eastern or 4 p.m. Pacific, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Rumble, or pill.net.
And if you haven't already, please take a minute and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on Rumble or YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're over on pill.net, take that red pill. If you're over on X, smash that heart. And if you're on Facebook, you're our family, our amazing, wonderful family. Go push those buttons, because there's
Push
7
some buttons.
of them.
Yep. Push some buttons, y'all. Helps us out tremendously. We do truly appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We love you all. Have a great night. Be safe. And God bless each and every one of you.